Let's give thanks before we begin our dinner. For the work and wisdom of all who have gone before us, we give thanks. For the witness and will of all here gathered, stronger together we give thanks. For what we are about to receive, nourishment for body, mind, and spirit, fueling the hope of a healthy community where everyone can belong and thrive, we give thanks. Please enjoy your meal.
Good evening. Did you generally get along with the people at your table? No. Thank you for your honesty. It's hard sometimes. We are delighted to have you here tonight. And I'm delighted because tonight we're going to talk about something very different. We're going to talk about some incredibly important work that gets done in this community by House of Friendship, some key community partners, but stuff we often don't talk about because it's long-term. And it's investing in the future. It's not the short-term stuff. And I'm just delighted by who we're joined by tonight, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. First of all, can I ask how many of you were at the dinner last year? Okay, thank you. How many of you that were here last year actually remember anything I shared? Right. For those of you who didn't put your hand up, neither did my wife, and so you're in good company. You're just fine. I want to go back last year because I want to share two quick, important updates with you before we get into the main program. Last year, when many of you came, we were talking a lot about shelter care, and at that point, we were still renovating the Comfort Inn, and so I wanted to provide you a quick update where we're at 10 months into operating. We opened up in February. Maybe you read about it, but I just wanted to let you know we're just kind of 10 months in. We gathered a little bit of data, and we wanted to share that with you just because I know you care about that program. Many of you in the room supported it, so I just wanted to give a quick update. We asked ourselves three key questions. Question number one was around shelter care is the program working? Is it meeting the needs of the community? And is it actually reducing the burden on our emergency department, on our health services? So we've found 10 months in, when we looked at the data compared to a year ago, we have a 75% reduction in the use of emergency services compared to the program we were running the year before. Hang on. Okay, time out. We got to address this clapping thing right away. So how many of you remember the late Stuart McLean? Vinyl Cafe? Yeah, do we not miss him? And the last time Stuart came to talk about Dave and Morley and the funny neighbors, Wong's Meat Pies, the last time he came to Kitchener, he was actually recording. And so we were in the audience, and it was like, oh, wow, when this goes live, like, we're going to be part of the audience, and like all across Canada, they're going to hear people from Waterloo Region clapping and laughing. So here's the deal is, like, you're being videotaped tonight so that people can watch this that couldn't come. So you got to know when to clap and when to laugh. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit off, okay? So just hold off on the claps just for a second. So 75% reduction in EMS. Second question we asked is, are the individuals in the shelter care program, are they getting better? And there's a bunch of data that shows, yes, their health is getting better, but here's the one that really made my heart sing. And that is, at any given time, 25 to 30% of the gentlemen in the shelter care program are in active addiction treatment recovery. Compare that to in the past, where it was maybe 0 to 1%, because they just had too much chaos in their lives. But in shelter care, in a dignified environment where they're getting their health care addressed on site, 25 to 30% of them have made the choice to pursue their addiction treatment, which is something we've never seen before and we're delighted by. The last thing we asked was, okay, but are we helping people move from homelessness to housing? And you understand the housing situation, how hard it is to find housing for anyone in today's context. Add that to all the different challenges that someone who's coming out of homelessness is experiencing. And yet by next month, our team will have helped 21 individuals move from homelessness to housing in the first 10 months. So it's not perfect, but we're moving in the right direction. And the reason I told you to hold off on the clapping is I'm not sharing this with you so you can clap and say, way to go, House of Friendship. That's not what I'm looking for. The reality is, 4 years ago, and I know a lot of you in this room were there at Lot 42 in 2019 when we just shared a vision with the community and we said, we think we need to do things differently, and we threw this idea of shelter care. We had no idea how it was going to work. We had no idea how it was going to come to fruition, and the only reason it did is because this community came together around that vision. And that's what I want to clap about. That's what I want to say, a heartfelt thank you. And I also want to say, one of our favorite pastimes is to let our elected officials know that they're not smart enough, they haven't done enough, and we're just wondering why they haven't solved all of our problems. And I want to let you know the only reason shelter care is in this community is because all of our elected officials, regardless of what level, regardless of what stripe, came together, got behind the vision, and really advocated. So when our community gets around a tough problem and a same vision, we can make incredible things happen. So for that, I want to say a huge thank you, and now is a good time to clap. Okay, last update. If you recall last year at this dinner, we shared a lot of housing projects that our community partners were making happen in the community. And I'm delighted that some of them have already come to fruition. Some of them are already serving people and changing lives. Some of them are about to come online. A few have just broken ground. And we're moving forward here. And I'm really proud of the work that's being done in region of Waterloo. We also shared with you that we were going to do a supportive housing build on some land we have in downtown Kitchener. And the vision a year ago was to create 70 new units of housing. The challenge is housing has not become just a little bit more challenging, or the need hasn't just grown slightly. It's grown exponentially for the individuals we serve, and one could say for all parts of society. And so we went back to the drawing board, and I'm happy to share with you that we're now looking at a project where we're going to more than double that due to the level of need. So you'll be hearing about that in a few months, but that is our commitment to continue to address the need for more supportive and affordable housing. So I just wanted to provide those two updates because I know a lot of you were here at the dinner and wondering what was going on, and we'll share more. Okay? We're good? Excellent. Thank you we got a good clapper here in the front that's going to keep us on cue. You're going to look brilliant on this video, folks. You're going to look brilliant. All right. I have the distinct privilege to introduce a dear colleague of mine today, but also some of this incredible work that gets done across Waterloo region that we often don't talk about, we don't hear about. We talk about it as neighborhood work, we talk about it as prevention work, we talk about it as work with children and youth, and I'm thrilled that all of you are here that are going to hear about it, and you're going to hear about it from the people directly impacted about this. If I were to share with you today and say that House of Friendship has 325 staff plus incredible group of volunteers, and we serve annually around over 40,000 people, if I were to tell you that the largest group of people that we serve is children, youth, and women, how many of you would be surprised by that? Be honest. You all think we only serve men. I know. I know. And you only think we do shelter and addiction treatment because that's what you read about, you hear about. And so we never get to hear about this incredible work that we've been doing for the last 40 years. And it changes people's lives. And you're going to hear a little bit about that. And the person that's going to share a little bit more about that is a dear colleague of mine, part of our leadership team, Dowd Raji. And so he's going to share a little bit about his story in this work. And then he's going to introduce some of our esteemed guests that we have with us tonight. So thank you, and please a warm welcome for Dowd.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I was born in Ghana and moved at a young age to Nigeria. Yes, that's Ayo. We're a pretty typical middle-class Nigerian family. I have 5 brothers and a sister, and lots of relatives around. I had a great childhood. Yeah, that was me. I had hair. And love and care from all angles. And of course, we had friends in the neighborhood. There were like 20 of us, always running around. We were adventurous. Our focus was football. We call it soccer here. And when I say focus, I mean nothing, absolutely nothing got in the way of our soccer time. Homework, mom and dad, no time. Chores, we snuck out. No ball, we taped one together and play anyway. We were resilient and clever. Some might have said cunning, but I tell you, we were industrious. I always took a special leadership role in getting all the kids together, sorting out the teams, making sure everyone knew where and when to meet, with no social media. I was often brought into disagreement and found ways to bridge gaps, and everyone stayed focused so that we did not lose valuable soccer playing time. And while we were quite a crew, our parents never worried about where we were, because there was a shared understanding amongst all adults in the neighborhood that they would watch over us and make sure we stayed out of trouble. You often hear, it takes a village to raise a child. You can just imagine the size of the village that we needed to raise this energetic crew. Everyone took responsibility for us. I knew I couldn't get away with sneaking out because my friend's mom, Iya Kamal, would see me and clock disapprovingly, send me back home. I never thought twice about this. It was normal. Reflecting back, I can see that these adults provided the help that I didn't even think I needed. They were my buffers against the realities of the big, scary world. Without question, I knew that I belonged. In our little world, I felt safe and had space to dream for my bright future. In particular, my dad. My dad was an essential part of my life. He understood me when others couldn't. He supported me with guidance and love and showed me that I mattered. He was my biggest role model. I loved how he involved me in making decisions, like what clothes to wear or what color to repaint our house. Of course, I picked blue. The act of trusting me, valuing my opinion, and letting me choose stuck with me. And while he let me make decisions, he also deeply challenged me. When I was feeling down, he would listen patiently. When I was ready to quit, he would always say the same thing, and I still remember it. He would say, Dawood, no matter the circumstance you find yourself in, just show up. Show up for yourself and show up for others. Sometimes it bugged me when he wouldn't let me quit. But this lesson became a part of me that I took with me whenever I faced challenges. And suddenly, when I was 21, just a kid, really, my dad died. He was only 62 years old. At such a pivotal time in my life, I lost my anchor. It was devastating. I was vulnerable. I was lost. My life that was bright and hopeful moments ago, now bleak. It was a hard time for me. And without the strength of my caring mom, my relatives, and the parents in my neighborhood, I don't know where I would be. They supported me and helped me live through my grief. Time passed, and my brothers and sisters moved away, moved away, pursuing opportunities. Luckily, they came to Toronto and encouraged me to join them. It was a fresh start with new hope, just what I needed. Given that our family history has been shaped by immigration for 4 generations, I didn't think coming to Canada would be any different. I tell you, it was different. A simple example. When I was in Nigeria, I knew how to cross the street. And I think I was pretty good at it. Then I came to Canada. Now, all of a sudden, I'm not good at crossing the street. I don't understand. Do I go when the green light goes? Because cars are moving, people shouldn't go when cars are moving, yeah? This seems simple, but even the act of crossing the street became a huge challenge. Things I took for granted back home were so confusing now. Where to eat, what that food was, how to use the Canadian slang. In Nigeria, we speak English, but I tell you, definitely not Canadian English. What is a toonie? Why can't we just say $2? So besides learning a new city, I had to almost learn everything again. I felt different, and everything was so hard. Thankfully, I had my brothers and sisters who had come before me and figured things out so they could show me. My older brother Yusuf will probably tell you that I made him hold my hand that first year more than he did when we were in Nigeria running around. That TTC route map was terrifying. I had so many important buffers to help with my transition. My family, the neighborhood youth center, that was the Rexdale Youth Resource Center at the time, my faith community, even my employer supported me, and I found friendship at work. This, again, were my buffers. I'll take a moment to share how we see buffers at House of Friendship. We know that at the core, life is hard, it's unfair, and bad things happen to good people. For some young people who are experiencing hardship, there's nothing to shield them. Studies show, and if we look around our own lives, having one buffer can be the difference between ending up in crime, maybe homeless, or finding stability and navigating through life's hardship. It takes one person to make the difference in a young person's life. As you've heard, I've been blessed with many buffers, many people in my life who acted as a buffer throughout. As life settled, I got the opportunity to work for Walmart Canada. It was here that I met someone else who would have a profound influence on my life. Randy Gary, the vice president of Walmart. He didn't know me, but took me under his wing and mentored me. He saw potential in me. I kept saying yes to every opportunity and went all over the country, living in different communities. Just like when I was young, remembering my dad's wisdom, I would show up, both for myself and for those around me. By the time I was 30, I was given the opportunity to run the Walmart in Timmins with over 300 staff and $90 million in annual sales. Now, every story needs a bit of romance, so I won't disappoint you. While I was traveling around and working for Walmart, working my way up at work, I was also courting a very special woman, and she made me work really, really hard. She was in Nigeria finishing her university education, and I had to convince her to come join me in the exciting city of Timmins. For whatever reason, she said yes, and we got engaged. Yep. As a young couple in Canada, we were fortunate enough to get pregnant and have our first child. Suddenly, it wasn't just about Rihanna and I alone. We're now responsible for another person. And then it became 2, and then 3. Becoming a dad changed my worldview. We would have long conversations about the future we wanted for our children. It was through late-night conversations after kids were asleep, with lots of research, that we decided on Waterloo region. We heard it was innovative and one of Canada's fastest growing areas. There were world-class universities and colleges and lots of jobs. When we moved, we experienced all this firsthand and knew it was the right decision. But we also saw other unexpected realities too. We discovered that this region has one of the country's lowest high school graduation rates. That 34% of food hamper recipients region-wide are children. And that we have almost 15,000 children living below the poverty line. As a father, this shook me. As a community guy, I could not look the other way. I wanted to be part of the solution. I soon heard about House of Friendship. They were hiring in the community services program. As I read through the job description, it sounded a lot like the community work I've always been doing. Connecting people, building relationships, developing leaders, and removing barriers to ensure people can belong and thrive. When I joined the House of Friendship, I had no idea how much it would change me, challenge me, and inspire me, and how much I would learn from the people we walk alongside. At House of Friendship, we approach everything from strength-based lens. We believe in the people we serve. In some ways, our job is clear: to remove the barriers so they can belong and thrive. In our youth programs, we believe that they are all leaders, so we expect that of them. I'm going to pause now so you can hear about some of the youth programs we offer across our region.
My name is Mark. I'm 10. My favorite thing to come to the garden is seeing the leaders. Because of Maggie. Maggie's the one who knows a lot about gardening, and she's the fastest doing it. Yeah, she knows so some of us, including me, don't know which ones are weeds, and Maggie straight away knows what are weeds and what are not weeds. Peace. That's the only thing. Everything's just peaceful. No bullying. Nothing that is evil or nothing.
My name is Casey. I'm 16 years old and I'm in grade 11. We came to Kingsdale. My little sister was a part of the basketball program here, and we saw the flyer and I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. Like, I would like to join, and we just joined. It feels inclusive and kind of amazing because it helps me to just be better connected with myself and helps me to deal with certain mental issues or health problems or stuff like that. When I first came, I was very closed in, not knowing how to express myself, especially talking about difficult situations. And now I feel like because it's such a safe space where we could talk about everything, I feel more open to speak to my parents about certain situations or any difficulties that I'm facing. To be successful. I think success is a very broad topic, but I think that's my main goal right now, just to be successful.
My name is Stefan Helliger. I'm 30 years old. I'm from Georgetown, Guyana. I've been here in Canada since I was 11 years old, and yeah, my passions is helping, giving back as much as I can. You know, growing up, I was someone that, guess you would say, dealt with a lot of, childhood traumas, stuff like that. So being at the community center brought me a joy, gave me an escape, I would say, an escape from reality for that time being. So it was definitely something I look forward to every week. Yeah, the program, we never really had a grown-up that wanted to run it. So I took it in my own hands to say, hey, I'll be that growing up, because I knew what it did for me. I didn't want it to be taken away from the kids coming up now. So I took it upon myself to become that leader, and I started running it myself. I've always been doubted. Growing up with my issues, I'm epileptic. So in a way, it's like, yeah, just having someone, I guess you would say, dependent on you, being knowing that you're important, people depend on you, having that chance, I took it as responsibility, and it's something I strived with. So just getting that chance to actually do it, it was big for me. It was big for me. The minute I took it, I never looked back. I would say I'm the perfect example, Why I believe it's so vital is, a kid that myself growing up, for what that program did for me, it really changed my life. It steered me off a path I was going and turned me into something better. So what I would say is, even if you could just help one kid, that's why these programs are so important.
I want another baby sister.
Maybe to try and achieve all my goals, like a teacher or a piano or a surgeon.
I want to be more than one thing when I grow up. So I want to be a teacher, a scientist, or maybe a lion tamer.
Thank you for thanking the amazing leaders who took the time to share their stories and thoughts in the video. So, as I close out my time here and turn to the most important part of the evening, I want to highlight a theme throughout my journey, which I hope inspires you to think about your role in our community. People who knew me, invested in me, and expected things of me. People who did not know me, invested in me, and expected things of me. This investment was not a grand gesture, but often an unexpected moment in a time of need. And both types of people are equally important, because sometimes children and teens are missing that one person in their life. We can and should know that we're needed. Thank you for taking the time to hear my journey. I hope you have seen the importance of this work and of being a buffer for those who need it. Thank you. Thank you. Now I want to introduce you to our panelists and youth leaders in our community. Behnosh is a proud and fantastic mother of 3 children. Omar runs our Boys in Leadership program at House of Friendship. Omar. And Bryson is an upcoming leader in our community, participating in most of our youth programs. And thanks for welcoming them, but I don't know the last time you stood in front of 600 people, but it is intimidating. So please, let's give them another warm welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Umar, I'll start with you.
Oh, pleasure's all mine.
You've had a long journey with House of Friendship, from a youth in our programs and now a staff member. We would love to hear your story. Just tell us about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I guess my story with House of Friendship probably starts when I immigrated here. So I came here in 2003 when I was 2 years old from Palestinian immigrants. And House of Friendship was really immediate in my life, at the very least, because I live currently in the community center, well, in the community that I serve. So especially when it comes to that, we had access to a lot of community sources, such as tutoring, such as youth drop-in. And I had really experienced House of Friendship when it came to the community service that was provided to me. It didn't take that long for me to start volunteering with House of Friendship. It's been about 8 years in running. And I think about 2 years ago, I was finally offered a job. They wanted to pay me for everything, I guess, which is good. But again, I was still working in the same community that I serve, and it really went full circle when it came to everything, because it started off as really accessing those resources, things that were really crucial to helping myself, helping my family, and now it comes to providing everything. So it really feels good to be up here. It feels good to be representing both my community and this organization, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing your story. Bryson, we're so glad to have you here tonight. How are you doing?
Good.
Very good. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Bryson Shaw. I am 13. I live in the Kingsdale community. I like to bike. I like video games. I like sports, and I like to help out and volunteer and help out leaders and help out people.
Helping our people at this age. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Behnosh, thank you also for joining us.
My pleasure.
You are bringing a whole unique perspective to this conversation as a mother of 3 children. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and how you're connected to House of Friendship?
Sure. Hello everyone. My name is Behnosh Rakshani. I'm 35 years old. We immigrated from Iran in 2003 to Kitchener with my mother and my brother, and we've lived here. I am a graduate medical esthetician, hairstylist. I'm actually graduating November 10th. Thank you. I'm also a proud mother of 3 children. They're here tonight. Kiana, who is 13, Kurosh, who's 10, and Camila, who's 4. It has always been important for me to keep my kids active and busy with activities. So we have tried different sports. We have tried ballet, gymnastic, martial art, basketball, baseball. But it was always hard for me to keep up with the funds. So there was a time where we could not join activities until we were introduced to Victoria Hill Community Center. And that's where I met Coach Uham and Janine from the outreach program. They introduced us to many programs that they were offering there. We signed up for basketball and soccer, tutoring, Girls in Action, and the kids love it. They're happy to join every week. It just motivates them that want to join the programs. Makes me happy.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank
and thanks for bringing up new leaders. Back to you again, Omar. Can you share one of your favorite memories from the neighborhood programs?
Certainly. So one of the programs I do run is Boys in Leadership, which Bryson is a part of. And we do a variety of things. Typically, it's every Wednesday. We have a gym session. We'll often cook for them. This week we made burritos. It's pretty good. And we'll also have like a little session to get together and talk, whether it's advice or really what happened in school, realistically anything. But one thing a lot of people don't know is that we also have field trips which are funded by the House of Friendship. And the last one we did, which was the most major one, was a camping trip up in Silver Lake, which Bryson was also a part of. And I would say that definitely it was one of my favorite memories, partially because you're making memories for other people. For a lot of the boys, it's their first time camping because it's often not something they've ever heard of or they considered ever trying. So you know that you're there for people and you're really creating a core memory for them. I would say, at least for me, it was probably 5 a.m. in the cabin. I wake up to screaming. Everybody's awake except me, and someone's screaming about a raccoon. So my first thought is, a raccoon broke in or something, and then I look through the darkness and I see Bryson and all these guys huddled around the door. There was like a raccoon going down the slide outside or something. Very core memory for me. Definitely, I think it's a good memory for you.
Yep.
I couldn't get any other sleep that night, so. But definitely, that's probably one of my biggest ones.
That's a very good memory.
Oh, it definitely is.
Thanks for sharing.
Hey, no worries.
So Bryson, how about you? Your favorite memories?
Like the same Omar said, like the time that the raccoon went down the slide at 4 a.m. in the morning, and the leaders were not happy with us. Omar and Nate, they're both yelling at us and saying, "Go back to bed." But the raccoon was outside, and we were just trying to play a game of Uno on the deck, and it just came and wanted to play with us. And one of my other favorite memories is also when we were, I forget.
Cooking food outside, at the gym, at the...
I forget.
That's life, man. I was a little bit upset when the raccoon thing happened. Just a little.
Oh, I remember now. So the one day, we were all sleeping, and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up, and I looked at my phone, and I'm like, oh, I think it's time for breakfast. So I rolled over, and I whispered, "Hey, Omar, I think it's time for breakfast." And he said, "No, it's not time for breakfast." And he looked at his phone, he's like, "No, it's not time for breakfast, go back to bed." So we went back to bed. 2 minutes later, he yelled, "Everybody wake up, the girls just texted and said we're late for breakfast." So I looked over at him, and I said, "Omar, I thought you said we weren't late for breakfast." So then we got there, and we asked one of the girl leaders, and they said that we weren't late for breakfast, even though that's what the message said. So that was just really annoying that Omar made that mistake.
This was not said during rehearsal. but it is true. It was me.
Thanks for sharing and making us laugh tonight. So Benush, I think you've already shared this, but I would like you to share it again. The favorite part of the neighborhood programs for your children, and especially for you, and how you feel the program actually helps families around and your family as well.
Yes, seeing the confidence build my children and seeing them make friends and being active with other kids, it's a joy. Makes me happy. And there's another program that I wanted to share was we got introduced by Janine. So she told us about the program about Tales and Trails. It's moms and toddlers. So myself and my 4-year-old who joined, it was 6-week program, and we would meet at Huron Natural Park every week, and we learned so much. We would have never known about the park if we never attended the program. We seen the beauty of the nature. We got to, we learned about turtles, insects. We even planted vegetables and flowers, and that became our favorite spot to go to this last summer. And we would go and water the plants and the vegetables, and we would watch it grow. So that was really fun. It was one of my favorite memories.
Thanks for sharing that.
Year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Omar, back to you again. So this time, we actually asked your peers at House of Friendship to reflect on your growth and your journey and skills and the leadership skills that you've built over time. And they said you are deeply passionate about the work you do, that you care about people, and you like to build positive social spaces. They also said you know how to step up, and you're not afraid to dive deep into hard conversations. In Boys in Leadership, you love having conversations with youth about their families, their future, and you like helping them to create goals and help them work towards those goals. Now, tell me about your approach.
Sure. I think definitely there's a walking the fine line between what the boys are capable of doing right now and showing them what they're going to be capable of in the future. So especially when it comes to showing them what they're capable of now, it's really getting them out of their shell, teaching them how to socialize, teaching them how to do various things that you know that they're capable of doing, but they might not necessarily know. And obviously you do it within their own comfort zone, and you have to push them out a little bit. But you definitely want to show them that they are capable of more than what they think they are. And I think that's a leadership kind of role that was taught to me, especially when I was growing up, because I used to be a little bit more shy. I used to be a little bit more quiet. I mean, look at me now, not really. But but especially nowadays, there's that, really getting them out of their comfort zone and really trying to guide them toward a path of becoming future leaders. So especially when it comes to Boys in Leadership or really any other programs that I do, you want to mentor them and kind of maybe go through your own life experiences because you know that the boys are also going to go through it. If they're not going through it now, they'll be going through it later. So really it comes down to really just trying to help them out, trying to get them on that right path, really trying to make them the gentlemen that they are going to be in the future. And that maybe goes through bestowing them on, like giving them examples or showing them what they're capable of. But really it is that, show and teach and do it through example, but also show them what they're capable of doing right now and let them know that the world is really their oyster and they can really do what they set their mind to.
Thank you so much for inspiring the future generation, Omar. No worries. So what do you think it means to be a leader?
Yeah. So again, definitely what it means to be a leader, at least for me, is showing people what they can do. And I remember I look back at my leader figures, and I don't know if my vision's working properly, but I think I see my math teacher right there, Mr. McPherson. Did not know he would be here. So I'm going to go on a complete tangent to what I wrote. Mr. McPherson was a great leader for me. He showed me that I was capable of things that I never thought I'd be capable of, especially when it came to my university education. He was the person that pushed me through math. He was the person that made me realize not only am I good at it, but I actually do like it. And I try to teach that same example through the people that I try to teach. I show them things that, this is something you might like, this is not something you don't like, but I want you to encourage to at least pursue it. So to me, leadership definitely means to try to put people out of their comfort zone. Do it in a way where they know that you're their anchor, and show them that they're capable of really anything. And at the end of the day, if they do fail, you're always someone to support them. And if they succeed, they'll always know that you always have their back and you're willing to help. But definitely leadership is being that anchor for people.
Thank you. And thanks for sharing. And thanks for instilling leadership in Omar.
My vision's really bad, dude. Like I saw the hedge. I was like, I think I know this guy.
Again, Omar, this time around, I want to ask about Bryson. So can you share more about Bryson's leadership journey through your eyes?
Definitely. I think I met Bryson probably a year and a half ago, but time definitely melds together, so you never really know. But when it came to me, and when I first met Bryson, he was very shy, very timid, very, it's like he's there, but he's not there, if that makes any sense. But over time, especially when he was interacting with me, interacting with the boys, he really came out of his shell. He really started talking to people. He became kind of a figurehead of the program, especially when it came to helping new boys. So we have one thing that we do. It's kind of a tradition. Some of the boys hate it because it takes longer for them to eat because we do it right before dinner. But we have something called rose, bud, thorn. They tell the rose their bud and their thorn, the rose being something good that's happened to them, a bud being something good that's going to happen to them, and a thorn being a bad thing. And a lot of new boys will come in and they'll be like, what are you talking about? Because they have no idea what we're doing. And before I even have the chance of explaining it to them, Bryson takes the front role. Like he goes and he's like, this is a rose, this is a bud, this is the thorn, this is what you do. And I just sit there and I watch. And part of it makes me really proud because I don't think it was completely me. I think it was the entire group environment. But through everyone helping to contribute to his leadership, he went from being a very shy person to very extroverted, really being talkative. Everyone in the program knows him. Everyone in the program likes him. Definitely, at least that's my personal example of Bryson.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So how do you feel about that, Bryson?
It makes me feel good. Like I like that he thinks that, and I think the same.
So what do you think it means to be a leader?
To me, like what it means to be like a leader is like helping out, like Omar said, like telling people like what it means, like showing them around places that like they don't really know. And like helping, like if like Omar needs to like help a kid because there was a problem, like helping cooking, stuff like that.
Cool. Thank you so much. Benouche.
Yes.
How are you? So from your perspective, why do you think our neighborhood programs matter for our community?
It matters because then that way so people don't feel alone and they can go somewhere to find resources or get the skills they need to succeed in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last question. We're almost done, I promise.
All right.
So we'll go one by one, and I'll start with Bryson, and then Benouche, and then Omar. If you had one wish, what would it be and why? Bryson?
Okay, so I actually have two.
I love that.
It's a really hard decision. So my two wishes are for people not to like litter, and for people not to like vandalize stuff and like make our place like better, and to make like our area like cleaner and stuff like that.
Thanks for sharing. Benouche.
My wish is to see my kids successful and to become future leaders one day.
And Omar?
I wish for education, not just for myself, because I'm applying to medical school, like, fingers crossed. But I definitely wish for education for especially all the kids. I think that education makes leaders, and I think that a lot of our communities need leaders in the future. We're not just, if they go through an education, they're not just making future lawyers, engineers, doctors, anything, but you're also making people who can advocate for their community. So I think education is definitely up there.
Thank you so much. And thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Please, let's give them a round of applause again. Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to call on our ED, John Neufeld, to wrap up the night. John.
Dowd, thank you.
Thank you.
This is kind of awkward, us standing behind. Maybe we can go in front of these chairs, Dowd. We didn't plan this part.
No, we didn't. So if it doesn't go too well, it's John's fault.
Yeah. There's notes that I'm supposed to say, but we're going to do this first. A heartfelt thank you for sharing your story here with our 600 closest friends. You have your whole team watching you here, so that's a lot of pressure. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for that you took that risk coming from Timmins, coming to this community, and for the work that you've been doing. It's been an honor to serve with you and the leadership that you've brought. And so thank you also for, with your panelists, guests, everything you did tonight. Did Dowd do okay? Because he was really nervous about coming tonight. And when we asked him, he probably was thinking no, but then he had Dad in the back of his head saying, show up and do this. So
And you got that right, actually. And that's the thing about sharing your story. For me, if I have a story to share and I don't, it becomes a selfish act on my part because I don't know who that story would inspire and whose life that story may change. So, thanks for having me, John.
Thanks, Dowd. I had an idea of what I was going to say, and then this happened. And I'm still trying to process what I saw, and you'd think I would know that this was going to happen. But first of all, to the families, to the kids here that came tonight to support your fellow panelists, I just want to say a huge heartfelt thank you that you came and joined us tonight. I also want to say a huge thank you to our community services team that a lot of people don't hear about your incredible work, but today a lot of people did. And I just want to honor my colleagues who do this day in and day out. It's not glorified work, it's hard work, it's building connections, relationships, getting to know kids and families, and doing whatever they can. If we could just honor my dear community service colleagues, I would really appreciate that. If I had one wish, when's the last time you asked yourself those 5 powerful words? Maybe you feel like it's not appropriate to ask that in light of everything that's going on, and it's too hard to wish and to dream and to hope for something different. Maybe you're too tired to ask that question, considering what we've come out of over the last number of years. if I had one wish, it would be that every child and youth in Waterloo Region would have at least one caring adult in their life. My other wish is I wish I would have made that up. But when you're not all that bright, you usually become a peddler of other people's brilliance. And our friends at the Lyle S. Hallman Foundation shared that with me years ago, and I've never forgotten it. It's stuck with me. If every child and youth in Waterloo Region had at least one caring adult. You heard it in Dowd's story, the buffers. And I don't know if that term is new to you or if you understand that, but if you can just kind of picture a concrete wall. And imagine that child or youth that doesn't have that adult in their home for whatever circumstances, or doesn't have that support, or the family that comes to Canada and mom and dad are just trying to survive and have a living and don't have enough time for their kids. And that child just keeps hitting a concrete wall, and there's no buffer to ease the hardship of that. Now imagine, same situation, but there's an incredible math teacher that sees something in the child. Now imagine that child or youth in a situation where there's a neighbor who understands that the family is struggling with poverty and shares some food or invites them to something. Imagine that child and youth coming, like some of the folks that you heard here on the panel, becoming part of the program where they feel like they belong, they matter, and they learn some of their gifts and talents. Imagine the difference that that buffer makes. And that's what we're talking about. And the reason we wanted to share that with you tonight, again, isn't to say, oh, look what everything that House of Friendship is doing. It's actually a challenge to all of you here tonight. The reality is that each one of us has the ability to be a buffer in ways that maybe you didn't think about before. And they're not, as I loved how Dowd said it, it doesn't have to be grand gestures, but you never know how you could be that buffer and change for the individuals. And that's why we wanted to share with you and to call you into that challenge, is to be buffers for others. Can you imagine Waterloo Region if every child and youth had at least one caring adult? So that is what we would like to leave you with, and we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you for coming tonight. And why else did we want to share this with you, or why do I think it's so important? Because we talk a lot about the immediate challenges of our society, the stuff that's in your face, the stuff that gets the front page news. But to truly address those issues, we have to take the long view by investing in children and youth. If we do some of the stuff that we just heard about today, that's how we prevent some of the challenges that we're seeing in front of us. But it's a long game, folks. Can't solve it, turn around in a year or two. But you can see the difference. So grateful that Omar was here and shared how personally his involvement was allowing him to do what he's doing today. I think he skipped the part that he's trying to get into med school. Did he share that part with anybody? Yeah. I asked him how he did on his MCAT. He said pretty good, but he didn't tell you that, did he? So if we just invest a little bit early on, we will have the long-term results we all want as a community, and each of us can play. I've had the gift and the privilege of being in this field now for 25 years, and I worked with children and youth quite a bit in my first part of my career with children in foster care. And I could tell you what happens to kids who don't have buffers. And it's great being in this field for this long, because those children and youth that I worked with back then are now adults. And whenever I run into somebody and I say, whoa, how did this happen? Like, you had all these challenges in your life, and yet here you are you're having a good life, you're serving others, you're helping others. Inevitably, when they look back, they'll say, yeah, there was this person in my life, or someone did this. So that's what we hope to do together, continue with you. I hope you continue to do that in wherever you are, and that you may take that challenge away. Can you give that some thought? If I had one wish. All right. I'm just going to go to my scripted notes, because I am apparently supposed to say some things to you here. I don't like getting in trouble after these dinners. Okay. Are you still with me? Why don't I just read what I'm supposed to say? As I conclude our evening together, I invite... No, I can't do it. I tried. Tori Lynn, I tried. Oh, Tori Lynn. Let's start with Tori Lynn, who joined our team like a month ago, and we told her that she's supposed to organize a dinner for all of you here tonight. So I think she did a pretty good job with a month's notice, eh? Tori Lynn also has an incredible group of volunteers. There's a dinner committee. If we can just say a huge thank you to all the volunteers who made tonight possible. Thank you so much. I can't read all their names, but apparently in the program they're named, right, Jim? What do you mean you don't know? Aren't you part of the planning committee? Anyways, I also join me once again, if you could just, have I messed up the slides now also for you because I'm not following this? Oh, don't worry about it? Okay. I want to once again thank the generous sponsors for tonight's event. And lastly, incredibly grateful for each of you in the room, that you're here to help us support and change the odds for kids and youth in our community. Your loving care has filled the room with warmth tonight. The centerpiece. Apparently, your table centerpiece, you will find sticky notes. Does this make sense? Okay. Write your one wish for today's youth and add it to our inspiration wall just on your way out. So join us in creating this visual representation of our community's wishes to be displayed in local program centers and be a voice in the development of our strat plan. I think I got all the scripted stuff. All right. Lastly, one more time, a heartfelt thank you to each of you for coming tonight and also for the way you support House of Friendship, not just tonight, but all year long. Please, if you could do that on the sticky note, that would mean a lot because we will be sharing that with our community services teams. Thank you so much for coming. We look forward to seeing you next year, last Friday in October, right? What did I say? Oh, that's embarrassing. Last Saturday in October. Let's do it all over again. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Drive safe. Have a good evening.